Yo, what's up, what's up? This is my R32 GTR. I bought it back in 2018, and it's remained pretty much stock since I got it. I added the BBS wheels, upgraded the brakes a little bit just with EBC reds, pads and rotors. It's got a Blitz exhaust. I did the N1 spats. Those are the Type M rear spats, actually for GTST Type M, not a GTR. I added the R33 seats, that Nismo wheel. Oof. Just the dash mat, stereo, Nismo knob. Did a cat delete, Blitz intakes. Otherwise, pretty much stock. Today, it's going to get a bunch of suspension upgrades. All right, so here's a stack of parts. It may not look like much, but there's a lot in this box. I've got brand new T&C coils right there. These are Nismo front upper control arms right here. Ooh, that's nice. I've got the timing belt kit, radiator hoses, fuel pump O-ring, sender gasket. I've got the Deutschwerks 420 LPH fuel pump, brand new coil radiator. These are GK Tech rear inner tie rods for the Super Hikis system. This came from Right Hand Drive Japan, so I got a bunch of Japanese swag, I guess. But in here, you can see I've got the Nismo tension arms, Nismo rear forward upper control arms. I also bought, just in case, these are camber adjusted front upper control arms by Cusco. And some more stuff. We got rear control arms here and rear upper control arms. All right, here's how she's currently sitting. Not too bad on the BBSs, but a little more cush and not really performing like I want to. So I definitely want to stiffen her up a little bit and dial in the ride height perfectly. Oh, quick update. S13 is looking good. Paintwork is mostly done. SR20 is installed and running. So more updates on that later. Oh, 400EX, new graphics kit. Oh, here we go. All right, so here's what's on the docket for today. We're going to be installing all the suspension parts, coilovers, arms. So right here, we've got Nismo rear lower control arms, GK Tech rear inner tie rods, Nismo upper control arms. You may be saying you're going to want camber arms, and that could be true, but we're going to go with these arms first and see if I can get the alignment that I want. If not, then I'll probably go with GK Tech or Cusco control arms adjustable. The forward Nismo upper control arms, we've got rear T&C coilovers, front T&C coilovers, Nismo tension arms right here. These are the Cusco front upper control arms to accommodate the camber adjustment. I think it's -5, and I could be wrong here, but that may be the opposite of what I want. So I also bought the Nismo upper control arms, and that's what's going to be going on today. Maybe tomorrow or later this week, I'm going to be doing the timing belt kit and the water pump and the coil radiator. And right there as well, I've also got the Nissan Heritage Parts old logo Nismo oil cap for all the fanboys out there like me. So this is what's going on today. Stay tuned for piece by piece install. All right, here's what the stock suspension looks like. I've got the factory struts right there, which is pretty cool because they say GTR. But they're dog shit. I mean, they're not very good, so I'm going to get rid of them. So otherwise, I have the forward tension arms right here, also being replaced with Nismo parts. And then I'm gonna do the steering rack bushings as well. So those will be taken care of. But otherwise, it'll be basically the same up front. Most of the changes will be to the rear. Previously, I did sand and refinish the factory calipers. I did the EBC red brake pads and EBC slotted rotors. And then here's everything that's going in. Okay, so I grew up working on 240s. I'm still getting used to GTR life, believe it or not, even though I've owned this car for 7 years. This is the first one I'm doing, is the forward tension arm. And first off the bat, I've already hit my snag, and that is that you can't take the tension arm with the axle in the way. So instead of pulling the axle, I think I'm just gonna separate this front lower ball joint here and drop the lower control arm. That way it can free up some space. So I'll let you know. So, got the front lower ball joint separated here, and as you can see, gave me just enough space to wiggle out the original tension rod. Actually, it doesn't look to be in that bad a shape, but 30-year-old bushings could definitely use an upgrade for sure. Here's the comparison from old to new. So, I got the forward tension arm in, I got the front upper control arm out, I got the lower strut mount disconnected, and I'm just about to undo the upper. All right, so now the strut is ready to come out. So, forward tension arms in. Nismo upper control arms in. T and coilovers preloaded here, so that's just a little bit of tension on the spring to keep it from bouncing around. And the ride height adjustment nut is loose, so I can play with the ride height adjustment once I have everything dialed in. And now I have a jack stand underneath, and I'm about to lower it into place, and you'll see those pop through. There we go. So now I'll just nut that on. All right, the front is pretty much done other than adjusting and torquing everything. All right, so I did the left front a little differently than the right front. This one I did not have to remove the lower ball joint because I took everything out all at the same time. So the upper control arm, the strut, and that tension arm all came out a little easier this time because, you know, first is the worst, second is the best. So, yeah. A little easier this time around, and now I'm going to put everything in place loosely and then tighten it all up as one. All right, so the front is essentially done, other than checking torque, dialing in ride height, dampening, etc. But there's the front tension arm on both sides, tension arm, coilover, upper control arm up there. Surprisingly, kind of a pain in the ass to do the front uppers, but it's all done in the front. I do want to do steering rack bushings. I bought Nismo steering rack bushings, so I will be doing that. But for the most part, the front is done for now. Now that the fronts are done, I can get cracking on the rears. These rear struts are completely blown out. That's the main reason I'm even doing all this work. I also got these upper control arms. I got these Nismo lower control arms. And I got these forward upper arms back here. You can see them better from this side. So those will all be replaced with new. I also got the GK Tech inner rear tie rods for the Super Hickus system. So those are going to be replaced as well. And then I'm probably going to be destroying these stabilizer links when I'm taking that out. But I wasn't able to find them online easily. Fun fact though, the rear subframe on an R32 is very similar to the S13. It's based off of an S13 240SX 180SX Silvia, and the front suspension is based off of the Z32. So I did order Z32 300ZX twin turbo front sway bar links, and then I got 240SX rear sway bar links. So those will all be brand new as well. So I got the full right rear suspension out, and I'm not gonna lie, it was a friggin' pain. So it's all removed, upper control arm. This outer tie rod was a pain in the butt. All the upper control arms are out, the lower control arm, the ball joint. I had to remove the axle to get the lower ball joint out, which, you know, I knew, but still, it's a pain. So all that is removed. I'm gonna try to clean it up because, you know, it's 35 years old or whatever, full of grease and dirt. But now I can start assembling once I clean it up a little bit. Okay, so I got the right rear suspension basically how I want it. Rear coilover installed, rear upper control arm, forward control arm. The rear lower control arm is installed. The only thing I have to do left on this side is install the GK Tech inner tie rods. Besides that, we're looking good. I even took out the axle and cleaned that up a bunch so it looks nice and new. I do want to soak and spray and detail all of the suspension inside so it all looks as good as new. So stay tuned. So on to the left rear. Same old story. First is the worst, second is the best, third's the one with the hairy breasts. Fun fact, here's a good tip. You should break every bolt free, but don't remove it, because you need all that structure for leverage when you're breaking everything free, especially this axle nut is a nightmare. I took out the strut first and then tried to break the axle nut free, and the whole thing was jouncing up and down like crazy. So leave everything connected, but loose. And then once everything is broken free, then you can start whizzing it apart. And it'll come apart like butter. All right, so learn from my mistakes. So after about an hour or so of fighting, I was able to get all of the arms out of this side. Now, if this were an S13, 240, 180, whatever, I would have just dropped the subframe out, done it all on the floor. Probably would have made it a little easier, saved me some time, given me access to everything. But being a GTR, it's a little uncertain for me. You know, new territory, I guess. So with the Super Hickey system and the differential and everything, it's a little bit more advanced than an S13. So I wasn't willing to roll the dice and take this subframe out just yet. When I do actually suck it up and try to restore this car for real, I will pull both of the subframes out, strip it down, every nut and bolt, and make it brand new. But for now, everything's out. Now I can start to put the new stuff in. Yeah, so I got everything in. I'm just about to put the stabilizer links in. I got brand new rear stabilizer links, believe it or not, at AutoZone. This one looks like it's been sitting on the shelf since 1991. I ordered them for a 240SX because the rear subframes are very similar. They have the same stabilizer links, stabilizer bar style. You know, it's obviously a beefier bar on the GTR, but same style. So I'm gonna put those in. And I didn't need them, but I got them anyways for the fronts because they're similar to a Z32. So I got brand new Duralast, built to last stabilizer links for the front. So yeah, I do have AutoZone parts on my car, not to brag. All right, so everything's in on both sides. Got my new coilovers, new upper control arms, new lower control arms, and then the new forward upper control arms as well. Now, I have not done the inner tie rods yet for the Super Hickey system because I'm not ready to drop it off for an alignment today, tomorrow, whenever. I do have some cheap Amazon alignment plates coming to hopefully give me a general idea, make sure I'm in the ballpark I need to be. But right now, I'm going to get the ride height dialed in, kind of figure it out how I want. And the only camber adjustments I have are these eccentric bolts on both sides. So it's like an egg-shaped bolt that you can move the whole control arm in and out. But it only gives you a small amount, not very much. That's why a lot of guys do the fully adjustable arms, which give you a wider range, but then it's also a little trickier to get your alignment angles right. I also do some ridiculous stuff like this, save all the old parts. I mean, number one, because it's a Nismo box. That's cool. I feel, you know, bad throwing it away, which is stupid and hoarder mentality. But I'm saving all the old parts, and you know, I label everything, which position it came from, which is also a little ridiculous, but still, you know, what if I sell it or put it back on the car someday? I've got everything labeled and boxed back up, so it's gonna go upstairs in my garage and just be in the collection with my hoard. So everything's installed. I'm gonna dial in the ride height now. So before I put the wheels on, I'm gonna clean up the suspension quite a bit. Try to make sure everything in here is shining. Got my trusty scrubber. Make sure everything looks nice and new. So it's down on the ground, wheels are on. This is the first stage of getting the coilovers dialed in. It's not bad, but I want to go a little bit lower. So right now I'm gonna soften the dampening up pretty much all the way to get a feel for it, and then go stiffer as need be. But it's close in the front. I want to go a little lower and definitely significantly lower in the rear. Just got back from the first test drive. It went well. Now that everything's kind of settled and been driven on a little bit, I'm gonna take some measurements, and you can see I go from the ground right to the fender opening, and I am at 25.5 right here, which honestly is pretty good. I think after driving it a little bit, I'm gonna go a little lower in the front, but the rear is what I don't like. So the rear is too high, significantly too high. Eventually I am gonna drop the front more for the fanboys and the hardos. But this one is definitely skyjacked. We're up way too high, just above 26. So we're at 26.25 in the rear. So I'm gonna take about an inch out of the rear, I think. And none of them are perfect matched. So I gotta do some math and, you know, trial and error, I guess. Now I've got the wheel off. I'm getting ready to lower the car a little bit. The coilovers came with these T-in wrenches, T-in, however you say it, I don't care. So it came with these wrenches, which is cool because it fits into a 1/2-inch ratchet and you can crack it free with a little leverage. So that's what I did. And now what I do is I like to back this off as much as I'd like to lower the car, measure that, and then I'll use the spanner wrench to lower the coilover down into itself. But I'm probably gonna spray a little something in there like WD-40 or some sort of moisture repellent, just something to keep it lubricated down the road. So I've adjusted this collar up to the height that I now want my suspension to be, and then I'm just going to turn this until it goes flush with the lower perch, I guess you call it.